Coming up on the October 13th edition of Carolina Week.
I'm Joe Mott in the newsroom. A look at the importance of these final weeks as Election Day draws near.
A mathematical miscalculation could be costing North Carolina teachers millions.
And the moment Carolina students have been waiting for is finally here. Late Night with Roy is this Friday, during fall break.
Plus, a look at your fall break forecast.
All that and more, Carolina Week starts now.
From the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, this is Carolina Week.
Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday edition of Carolina Week. I'm Amanda Eiler.
And I'm Lydia Garlico. Thanks for joining us. Wednesday night, it's the final face-off between President Bush and Senator Kerry. The polls show the two candidates are tied, making the debate crucial for both campaigns. Carolina Week reporter Joe Mott joins us in the newsroom with more.
The Democrats say a debate win by Kerry will propel him into the White House. The Republicans say between now and November 2nd, hammering home the liberal label will keep President Bush in Washington. Although it's unlikely the polls will accurately show a statistical debate win for either candidate for a couple of days, by this weekend we should see if the final debate has had an effect on the race for the presidency. Political science PhD student Jamie Monaghan says even though the media put a lot of emphasis on debate performance, in the end it won't be the deciding factor.
As time progresses, the news comes up with new things to talk about, so what's on the top of people's head isn't the debate, it's something else.
Monaghan says a lot of times there's a spike or drop in one of the candidates' poll numbers after a debate, but it usually goes away in about a week.
Joe, where do you think the candidates will focus most of their energies now?
Well, in the upcoming weeks, the two candidates will most likely spend a lot of time campaigning in states that are undecided. We saw this week that Kerry abandoned ideas of continuing TV ads in North Carolina. It's a historically Republican state. And Bush has scaled back ads in the Democrat-leaning state of Washington. Battleground states like Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa will also become even more crucial in the final weeks.
Joe Mott reporting from the newsroom. Thanks, Joe.
Two films from very opposite ends of the political spectrum are making the rounds in the weeks before the presidential election.
This is Michael Moore. I would like to read to you the USA Patriot Act.
UNC's Young Democrats hosted a screening of Michael Moore's Fahrenheit 9/11 at its meeting this week. The film, critical of President Bush, took in more than $115 million this past summer. Now Moore is trying to bring his movie to pay-per-view television on the eve of the election as part of a 3-hour program, the Michael Moore Pre-Election Special. The Sinclair Broadcast Group plans to show this anti-Kerry film during primetime next week. The group has ordered all 62 of its stations, including WLFL 22 in Raleigh, to air Stolen Honor: Wounds That Never Heal. The film accuses the Democratic nominee of putting American prisoners of war at risk during the Vietnam conflict by coming home to protest the war. The Democratic National Committee has filed a complaint against Sinclair with the Federal Election Commission.
No matter which party you belong to, the war in Iraq is a central issue in this year's election. On Tuesday, students at UNC Chapel Hill had the opportunity to gain some first-hand knowledge about the war. Hamila Okrawi was a translator for the 101st Airborne Division, and she's traveling across the U.S. talking about her experiences. She spoke about the different aspects of the war, including the role of women and the upcoming elections there. Okrawi says the situation in Iraq isn't as bad as the media make it seem, and the troops need our support.
Most of them are trying to extend their duty. So what happened and what's happening right now, it just needs support. Your media, unfortunately, is trying to be negative 100%.
Okrawi says that the Saddam Hussein regime tortured her father and killed her brother.
And an exhibit in the Triangle is bringing the turmoil in the Middle East closer to home. A bombed Israeli bus was on display on Duke University's campus Tuesday and Wednesday. A suicide bomber blew up the bus on January 29th on a Jerusalem street corner, killing 11 and wounding more than 50 others. Bus 19 is on a national tour. At Duke, the Jewish campus organization Chabad sponsored the exhibit. UNC graduate student Yitzhak Rosenblum was studying in Jerusalem when the explosion occurred.
I passed this corner every day for months and months, and I saw candles burning, and I saw wreaths of sympathy from the European Union on that corner.
Tuesday, Chabad held a candlelight vigil to remember the victims of the blast.
I knew Anat personally. This is the bus I used to take to school every day, with Anat and many others. Praying not to die in the way, because this is how it is. You just sit in this bus and you pray the whole way through.
This weekend at Duke, the Palestine Solidarity Movement will be holding a 3-day national convention. The bus exhibit is a protest against the convention.
There's now a special memorial on campus honoring a UNC alumnus and his wife. Chancellor James Measer dedicated the Paula and Sheila Wellstone Memorial Garden on Tuesday. Friends, family, and students gathered to reflect on the Wellstones' legacy during the ceremony. The Wellstones, their daughter, and 5 others died in a plane crash 2 years ago this month. The late senator received his bachelor's and doctoral degrees in political science from Carolina. He represented Minnesota in the Senate from 1990 until the time of his death. The memorial features 3 benches on a brick patio that represent his belief in community and fellowship.
That same spirit brings the campus together each year to celebrate the university's birthday. Tuesday marked 211 years.
Yet as Carolina Week's Daniel Seiler reports, the University Day holiday didn't fire up that much feeling.
The university's 211th birthday started off with all of the traditional pomp. Faculty and staff left their offices in their finery, and alumni came out to the convocation at Hill Hall. The only group not lining up was the student body. Could it be that they didn't know why they had the mini-holiday?
On October 12, 1793, university fathers laid the cornerstone for Old East, founding the nation's first public university.
Now, more than 2 centuries later, students like sophomore Carol Winger seem to look at that date as little more than a study break.
I mean, it's obviously to celebrate the birth of the university and all that, and I guess it's probably important to some alumni, but I think for college students it's just an excuse to sleep in and spend a day doing nothing.
Most students took advantage of the half-day to get some rest during midterms, but hardly any students besides the senior marshals came to the celebration itself. Why were only graduates marking the day with any enthusiasm? UNC Systems President Molly Broad notes that UNC graduates continue to draw their strength from the time they spent here.
We continue to draw upon strong, deep, historic roots. Even as we look ahead to a future this university's founders could never have imagined.
In the future, it may be that students don't care much for tradition on University Day, but if history holds true, they will appreciate it later. After all, there are more than 65,000 paying members to the General Alumni Fund. In Chapel Hill, I'm Daniel Seiler, Carolina Week.
Past university days have had guest speakers like Presidents John Kennedy and Bill Clinton, and many chancellors choose that day to take office.
Authors often come on campus and stir things up. In Wilson Library Tuesday, Morton Neal read passages from her book of recipes that she compiled from her husband's notes. Bill Neal had been the head chef at Crook's Corner and La Residencia in the 70s and 80s. Morton signed books and answered questions at a reception. The book, Remembering Bill Neal, Favorite Recipes from a Life in Cooking, is available at the Bull's Head Bookshop.
The air you breathe might not be as bad as you think, and some scientists say the air is getting cleaner. That's the message American Enterprise Institute adjunct scholar Joel Schwartz shared with a group of Carolina students Monday night. Schwartz says the particles that make up most air pollution have been steadily declining in the air because of industry practices, not government regulations. Carolina's Collegians for a Constructive Tomorrow sponsored the lecture.
Now there's actually some good news about getting around in Chapel Hill these days. The town's transportation capabilities are efficient and still improving. According to the 2003 Mobility Report Card, the report represents a snapshot of mobility in Chapel Hill and shows improvement in pedestrian activity, transit ridership, and sidewalk availability. But the report also shows a decline in bicycle riders and an increase in traffic volume in some areas. Officials say this is the most comprehensive report in the state. The town will host a public forum to review the report on November 22nd. One area town finds a home for the homeless.
But Chapel Hill is still searching. The Interfaith Council is going on faith that one of 3 sites will work out as a location for its homeless shelter.
200 years ago, Lewis and Clark set out to discover an all-water route to the Pacific. But what they really discovered in themselves and everyone they encountered are qualities we can still learn from today. we commemorate the Lewis and Clark Bicentennial. We invite you to walk with them at lewisandclark200.org and see what you discover, because their trail winds through us all.
Area homeless people have a new apartment building in Carborough to call home. The 24 units became available Wednesday morning. At the same time, Chapel Hill is wrestling with homeless issues of its own, specifically where to relocate the Interfaith Council's men's shelter. Town officials are looking at 3 possible locations for the IFC shelter, sites on Merritt Mill, Legion, and Eubanks Roads. Merritt Mill residents have made it clear they don't want a homeless shelter in their neighborhood. Regional and urban planning professor Roberto Garcia says no site will be ideal for everyone involved.
The answer is ultimately a matter of interest and politics, and is trying to bring all these parties that seem to be disagreeing about what the exact ideal location should be together and trying to work out a compromise.
IFC Director Chris Moran sees a lot of merit in the Legion Road site. It's on a bus line, helping residents get to their jobs, and it's near shops and grocery stores, both elements that help the homeless reestablish themselves. Moran doesn't like the Eubanks Road proposal, and a drive down the road shows why. There's almost nothing there. Garcia says it's important to keep the shelter near the town, close to jobs, people, and services.
I think to some extent many of the proponents of the Eubanks site see it as appealing because it's out in the middle of nowhere. And again, it solves that problem, but it may not be the best for the residents one is trying to serve.
The shelter won't be a facility where people can come and go at will. They must earn the privilege of moving in and eventually moving out on their own. IFC officials are open to any locations the community recommends. They hope to find a suitable site as soon as possible.
Most people believe teachers don't get paid enough. Some area teachers say they aren't even getting what they're owed. Carolina Week reporter Nora Warren joins us now in the studio with more. Nora?
Amanda, if you made a mistake balancing your checkbook and didn't pay your phone bill, you'd expect to still have to pay, right? Well, some North Carolina teachers hope that same logic applies to them.
Dorothy Works has been teaching language arts at McDougal Middle School since it opened 11 years ago.
All their grandchildren, I'm the one that gets named for them. I love the children and the energy that they bring to a school, to a community, and especially to my life.
Only 2 months into the school year, her 6th graders are already preparing for the state end-of-course exams in April. But based on last year's results, there's a question about the validity of the reading portion of the tests.
It's like a slap in the face. You worked and worked and worked, and now the state's not going to hold up their end of the bargain.
At issue is the way the state interprets standardized test scores to measure how much progress these 6th graders have made in the past year. The state uses a complicated formula, and that formula claims that only 2 of the nearly 400 middle schools in the entire state showed improvement in reading scores.
Is there something about the curriculum between those grade levels? Is there
At the last Board of Education meeting, testing officials said the problem might not be the kids, but the formula that interprets their scores.
It really does make folks step back and say, well, is that really possible? I mean, can we really believe that so few would be able to do it?
Why is there a problem now? Well, since the mid-90s, these educators have changed the reading curricula, but they didn't change the formula for measuring the tests. So while middle school students across the state are practicing their reading and writing, the Board of Education is reviewing its arithmetic.
The Compliance Commission is recommending is that we remove the results for 6th grade in reading from the growth.
But not everyone agrees.
We've got integrity to a testing system, and we can't just scream every time we have a problem.
The integrity of the system isn't the only thing at stake. The faulty formula is keeping middle school teachers such as Dorothy Works from receiving their performance-based bonuses, anywhere between $750 and $1,500 a year. For most public school teachers, that's significant.
I've learned to eat beans and be happy.
But for teachers, the money is just a small part of the issue. The other is about keeping a promise.
I do understand that we are all in a budget crunch here, but if it is money that teachers truly, rightfully, deservedly earned, then I think they should be awarded that money.
Now, paying those bonuses would make an already strained state budget even tighter by another $15 million. The state superintendent says that extra money isn't a factor in whether the board decides to change those scores. The board will meet again in November.
Nora Warren reporting from the studio. Thanks, Nora.
While hurricane victims in western North Carolina repair the damages, a UNC organization is helping out. Working with the Student Government and Employees Forum, the Campus Y is collecting items to take to those hard hit by the storms. Mark Labs is one of the organizers of the event. He says although the most recent hurricane to affect the state was several weeks ago, little things are still a big help.
I think there's a really good analogy of a boy walking down the beach and throwing sand dollars back into the sea, and an old man says, "You can't possibly make a difference, look how many there are." He picks up another, throws it into the ocean, and the boy says, "It made a difference to that one."
The Campus Y will collect these little things from bins that have been set up around campus and sponsor a group to distribute them during fall break.
Meteorologist Meredith Croak joins us now.
Meredith, I was really surprised by the rain this morning.
Yeah, well, that was actually the remnants of Tropical Storm Michael that moved on along the Gulf Coast this weekend. So still in that tropical weather, but I'll have your full forecast come up after the break. But first, let's take a look at that weather question. The question is, dew point is a measure of what? Is it A, air pressure, B, atmospheric moisture, C, air temperature, or D, heating degree days? So I'll have your forecast and the answer to that question coming up after the break.
Oh, hey, John, what's up? Nothing, I'm just at Carrie's. It's just me and Carrie. John, it's just Carrie. I'm hanging out with my friend. I'm not doing anything wrong, John. John?
What'd he say this time?
He's just stressed.
It's not okay for him to treat you like that, Jess. Speak up. Just because it isn't physical doesn't mean it's not abuse.
Is it mice? Nope.
Rats?
Nope.
Hogs?
That's right, miss. Hogs? Energy hogs. If you're wasting energy, you'll find one in your home.
Got energy hogs in your house? Now you have the power to do something about them. Log on to energyhog.org.
Hey, let me go! In your dreams, Porky!
Because nobody likes an energy hog.
Hi, and welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm meteorologist Meredith Croak. Let's take a look at your weather headlines. We'll have a rainy start this weekend, and we will have clearing towards the weekend. Looks like it's going to be pretty nice out there, but you do have to watch out for those cool nights, going to get down into the 40s. Let's first take a look at your satellite map. You can see most of the clouds are just holding back to the west. This area of clouds moved through early on Wednesday, but they moved through, leaving us with clear skies, and that's going to be the case as we go into the weekend. You can see clear skies back to the west. That's what our weekend is going to be like. Let's take a look at that forecast map now, and you can see here's those rain showers that affected the area on Wednesday, and back to the west there's a cold front. That cold front's going to push through and affect North Carolina area on Thursday night into Friday. So that's going to bring some light rain showers, but again, this is a cold front. So we're going to have much cooler temperatures with lows only in the 40s. Behind that, though, high pressure system. So that means very nice weather coming up throughout the week. So it looks like it's going to be a great week for fall break. So perfect timing for that. Let's go now to your Carolina Week 4-day forecast. You can see those showers early on Friday morning, high of 65 degrees, so not warming up too much with those clouds, low 45 degrees. Go into Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. It's going to be clearing out quite nicely with temperatures in the low 60s on Saturday, the chilliest day of the 4. Sunday, a little bit warmer, clearing out some, and Monday, a high of 69, so warming up a bit. Now, if you're heading out to the beach for the fall break, you can see high on Saturday of 66 and 70 on Sunday, so pretty nice day to head out to the beach. And if you're heading to the mountains, it looks like it's going to be pretty nice in the mountains as well. Temperature a little bit cooler out towards the mountain, high of 60 degrees, lows in the low 40s, and Sunday mostly sunny skies with a high in mid-60s. So it looks like it's going to be a great week coming up, and a perfect time to head to look at the fall foliage. And we are in western North Carolina near peak, so those colors look great out there if you want to take a drive out and do some hiking or something in the mountains.
I know I'm from Western North Carolina, so I'm very excited to
so
go
it's
home
going to
this
be
weekend
great
and
out
see.
there. So anybody have any guesses on the weather question?
I think I'm going to have to go with, we're going to take a guess. We're going to go with B.
B, which is atmospheric moisture. That is correct. Basically, when the dew point temperature is equal to the actual air temperature, that's when you're going to get that's when you have 100% relative humidity, the air is saturated, you have rain or fog. So, which is what we saw some of this morning.
Great, yes, I definitely did. Thanks, Meredith.
No problem.
Ann Sexton joins us now with sports.
And I know we're expecting this weekend's game at Utah to be a really tough game, but it's going to be even tougher than we expected, is what I hear.
Yeah, Utah's they're number 10 ranked in the nation. It's gonna be a really big game. But first, the Tar Heels have to do some cleaning up. The football team has some problems, so we'll see how it's gonna go. After the big win against NC State on Saturday, many Tar Heel fans and the players are still on a natural high this week. But 3 football players are in trouble because of a high of a different kind. The story when Carolina Week Sports returns.
Escucha Smokey antes de tratar.
Solo tú.
No juegues con fósforos, no juegues con fuego. No hay nada para un pobre conejo asustado o un pobre ratón sin casa en que vivir. Si un hermoso bosque es lo que deseas, no juegues con fósforos, no juegues con fuego.
Solo tú puedes prevenir los fuegos en áreas naturales.
¡Fuego!
Welcome back to Carolina Week Sports. I'm Ann Sexton. The football team has had its share of ups and downs this season, and with 3 players suspended because of marijuana possession, this week is no exception. Reporter Wes Wilson has the story.
Three kids have made some decisions that have jeopardized the win and jeopardized themselves.
Those 3 players, linebacker Fred Sparkman, wide receiver Adarius Bowman, and defensive lineman Isaiah Puff Thomas, didn't take long to take some of the air out of Carolina's upset win against rival NC State. The 3 were cited for misdemeanor marijuana possession early Monday morning and suspended by the team indefinitely Monday evening.
It's very disappointing, but I mean, those guys made a mistake and they have to pay the consequences. But as a team right now, we have to move forward and do what's best for this team, and that's to go out and win some more football games.
The Heels didn't lose just any players either. Bowman was quickly becoming quarterback Darian Durant's favorite receiver and leads the Heels with 329 yards receiving. Sparkman is the defensive signal caller and leads the team in tackles, while Thomas has seen his playing time on the defensive line continue to increase.
You know, Darius was a big part of our offense, and Fred and Isaiah as well on defense, but you know, we still feel like we have some guys that can step in and contribute in those guys' place.
Well, I've got over 130 players in this program, and about 125, 126 of them are doing the right things every single day, making the right choices, and I'm so happy that they do that.
The Tar Heels might have 125 guys who are doing the right thing, but it's safe to say that the 3 Heels who officials say aren't doing the right thing have definitely put a damper on Carolina's hopes of a weekend win against 10th-ranked Utah. In Chapel Hill, I'm Wes Wilson, Carolina Week Sports.
If you want to see the new look Tar Heel football team in action, you'll have to be in Utah because there will be no television coverage in the Southeast at this point. The Tar Heel fans may be bumming about the football team's recent trouble, but never fear. Carolina basketball is ready to rumble. If you've missed the thrills of the hardwood, you don't have to wait any longer. Carolina basketball kicks off its new season Friday night in the 2nd edition of Late Night with Roy. Here's the lowdown. Doors open at the Dean Smith Center at 7:30 p.m. and admission is free. The event is full of skits with players, Coach Williams himself, the cheerleaders, and the dance team. The night wraps up with an intra-squad scrimmage at midnight. Because it's during fall break, some students and faculty are unsure what the fan turnout will be like.
it's kind of a shame, but I mean, there's nothing, it's NCAA mandated practice times. There's nothing from the university perspective that they can really do about it. I would guess less students would be here, but I think it would be good for the community.
I actually don't know if I'm going to, just because it's not, I am from Raleigh, but it's not quite as convenient to come over here just for that night and without all your friends being here.
It's probably a bad thing for most students, being only 45 minutes away from school. My home is in Burlington, so it's not that far to come back. But for students that have to travel, yeah, it's kind of a bad thing, but I understand they can't really get around it because that's the day that practice begins and they want to get started as soon as they can.
If you're going to be in town Friday, here's a little morsel to tempt your appetite. ESPN anchor and Tar Heel alum Stuart Scott will once again host the fan-friendly event. Booyah! Practice? Who needs practice? Not the baseball team, as the Heels are going straight to their own World Fall Series. Carolina's Fall World Series is in full swing after the first 2 games played this week. Instead of going with the traditional blue and white teams, the players added some fish flavor this year with teams called the Anglers and the Fish Unit. Next week's remaining intra-squad games will be the perfect opportunity for fans to get a sneak peek of the 2005 team. Coach Fox says the pitching is the strength of the team and is near mid-season form. The series is tied at 1 with the 3rd game Monday at 6 o'clock. And after a great day of watching baseball, what could be better than the sweet smell of chlorine in the afternoon? The Tar Heel swimmers look to stretch their muscles against the Bulldogs of the University of Georgia Wednesday in Corey Natatorium. The Heels got out to an early lead by winning the men's 1,000-meter freestyle and by taking 1st, 2nd, and 4th in the 200 free. The rest of the team hoped to make an even bigger splash before the meet ended. Well, ladies, actually there's some cool news. The Loreleis are going to be singing at the Red Sox game tonight.
That sounds
pretty
great.
cool.
Thanks so much, Ann.
Shake, rattle, and roll.
Here's one show that's definitely not a drag. You don't want to miss this.
Excuse me. I've been getting mixed messages about women and violence. I need a little clarification.
Uncle Bill, how am I supposed to grow up to respect women when I have such lousy role models?
Boys are never going to approach you.
Can you help me reshape my attitudes towards women?
You need to teach them that violence against women is wrong.
If you have a story idea, contact Carolina Week at 843-8292. You can also visit us online at carolinaweek.org. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNCCH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 27599.
Sometimes life can be a drag. For some folks, it is a lot of the time.
A campus alternative lifestyles group made sure Carolina wouldn't overlook National Coming Out Day. Members of the Lesbian, Bisexual, Transgender, Straight Alliance turned heads in the Great Hall Monday night with its drag show. Masks of makeup, plenty of plumage, and some shimmer and shine made up this diva parade. Both amateur and professional drag queens strutted their stuff. Carmen O'Connor was crowned Amateur Queen of the Night. The show was packed with a supportive crowd ready to spin some dough. The group plans to have another show in the spring.
So I do have to say I'm very excited about fall break. It looks like the weather's going to be gorgeous. Like I said, I'm from Western North Carolina, so the leaves are going to be great.
That's right. I know I'll be staying in town, so Midnight with Roy is where I'll be Friday night.
Good plans either way.
Indeed. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Carolina Week. Thanks for watching.
Good night and enjoy fall break.